Welcome back everyone to Deep Charts. In this video, me, myself, and I will guide you through the opening of the New York session by looking at order flow with our Deep Chart software and our Deepdom software as well. And we're going to answer some questions, we're going to do some Q&A, and as always, remember that these types of live session is the one that we typically host for our Deep Chart community. And specifically in my live session that we host every single Wednesday at New York Open, we take a look at how the opening auction unfolds and if there is some opening range breakout ideas that we can monetize, of course, from a didactical perspective inside of the markets. So we're going to take a look mostly at ES today and see how it unfolds and how it evolves. And as you can see already, we can start seeing that the first thing that the price did after some news came about earlier. Not sure what this news was. Let me just check real quick. Can you hear me and see me properly? I think so, right? Awesome. So we had the PPI today, right? This is the Producers Price Index. We had a really high US PPI. We had a core PPI at 5.2 and overall inflation rate at 6%. That's a lot, guys. That's a lot. It's not good news for the American economy. But, you know, yesterday we had a very directional session and the IVB model yesterday was great. And how the IVB model works and how the whole strategy behind this is very simple, actually. We basically take the high and the low of the opening range of the first 15 to 30 minutes, and we wait to see where there is a breakout with aggressive order flow joining the party, either in the form of volume or in the form of delta or in the form of bubbles. So as soon as we see that, we just open without thinking anything. This is more of a mechanical strategy, okay? It's not a discretionary strategy. But as I was about to say before, we clearly saw from the heat map that we went through these two liquidity levels and then all the way down, as often you're going to see when you start looking at the heat maps, you see as soon as they break, they reload more orders on the ask side. So they break, and now they're just about to reload some liquidity here. Let's see what they're going to do. And this is aggressive liquidity, like this is fresh liquidity. And it often provides a good support to the move, but not always. You see how this is also what you call a book flip. This is typically a bullish scenario where they break a level and then they reload it immediately. And this is Deepdom on its, let's say, basic version. If I'm correct, my source should be MBP for now. Yes, we're looking at an MBP order flow for now. In the next few sections, we're going to also see an MBO-based order flow. You look funny without the shades. What do you mean the shades? No, it's not CPI core. It was the PPI, the Producers Price Index today. So as always, when I start to do an analysis with either Deep Chart or Deepdom, when I'm thinking about, how the current state of things are in the market, and I want to understand what's the best idea or the bias for the day, I typically zoom out a lot, okay? So I zoom out, and the first thing I do is I draw either a volume profile with a fixed range from the last impulse down to the last swing up. And this basically resembles the current state of the auction, right? We have a situation of balance here. This is the value area currently. And this is the upper echelon of the value area as my supply. And the lower one instead, typically I keep it as a demand, right? Demand zone. There you go. Once I'm done with that, I have my two main areas of play. So with these areas of play, what I typically do is I either look for a failed auction above here to go to the other side, or for a failed auction below here to buy till the other side, okay? And in this type of situation, we've seen a failed auction here and sort of a failed auction here. Not sure we went above the high, probably not, but still high enough to consider these short ideas for the day. Also considering that we have probably a gap with yesterday's session. Let me double check. No, the gap from yesterday was already filled. Okay, this is another pattern that you're going to see very often. You're going to see yesterday's close being filled out. This is called the gap fill setup. How much is the MBO data feed? It depends on how many markets you want to trade. So if we expect, for example, a bearish session following the news, we're going to wait for the first 15-minute candle, or in the IVB, I can put directly the 15 or the 30. And here we provided some liquidity that got pierced through already, and now we're aiming at these levels of liquidity below here. It's very likely that we're going to hit one after another. This is the pattern that we've seen also in the live sessions. We have a buyer here, another buyer here, another buyer here, and they're going to typically do a barbecue, right? They're going to eat the meat, eat the following one, and eat the following one. This is how it typically behaves. Because market typically seeks for liquidity. Markets are created to facilitate big traders trading. Deepdom is basically like Pac-Man, eating liquidity after. Yes, correct. But sometimes, you know, there's the little monsters that follow the Pac-Man, right? Like these ones, and they drive price up. That's kind of the idea. DX feed will have MBO data now. I'm correct? Yes, you're correct. Another thing I like to do, for example, is to see where the previous day's value was. But, you know, when I look at this session here, we had some value here, but we didn't have a clear fair value of the day. It was a constant up and down. There's high volatility in the market now. So no big directionality. We basically closed almost at the open of the session. For the DX feed offer for the $30, it's going to be, I think on Friday, sorry. So we can see price in the opening auction has drifted downwards, managed to take out the London session lows, and there is somewhat of a bearish sentiment, I would say. Volatility is mid. We don't have huge, let's say, nervousness from the book side of things. But as you can see, this level was taken, the other level was taken, and now they've reloaded. You see how they reload buying right before they move up? This is a very typical behavior from market makers. And from a purely volume perspective instead, let's remove some of the daily profiles and just keep the volume by candle. We can see there was a huge absorption here, which I think was this one over here. But right after that, even more selling joining the party. Let's get our countdown timer. Okay, we closed the first 10 minutes of the range, and now we're about to eat through this liquidity level as well. When deep charts for MacBook, we're working on it, guys. Why is ES and not NASDAQ? Because ES is more liquid. Yes, that's why I typically do it. See? Exactly as I said. Again, liquidity to liquidity to liquidity. We ate through the entire barbecue again. Let's see what's going to happen if they're going to go to the 74.05. Now, after they've eaten out all of this liquidity, I expect some responsiveness from buyers. Plus, if we take yesterday's profile, let's see if there's some interesting areas here. Yeah, the only low volume node of yesterday is around here. And apparently we're very close to touching it. Yeah, there you go. There you go, yeah. That's a great area for reversals. Deep chart and Deepdom, same what? Can it be used for Forex pairs too? Only for the classic futures of the CME. So for example, let me show you. I can go on new price chart and I have these Forex here. Auto USD, GBP, Canadian dollar, euro, Japanese yen, Mexican dollar, New Zealand dollars, and Swiss franc. Will the offer for the data feed will be updated on Friday inside our... I think so, yeah. I think so. So we had some bullish response from the liquidity barbecue and on the low volume node of yesterday. We had some great response on that. Now, what I'd expect the next level to be is probably this level over here. This low volume node that coincides with this low of the value area. It's more or less the same area. This is the area I would suppose some responsiveness from sellers again to start forming out. So this is basically how you use it, guys. If you're making your first steps with order flow and volume analysis, let me give you a quick blueprint on how to use this. Because what volume ultimately is just money, right? And when you see a profile, right, it will typically have areas with low volume and areas with fast volume. With a lot of volume. This is where price likes to stay in range. This is where price goes fast. So as soon as, for example, we reach these levels where volume drops from a high volume, from a comfortable area to a non-comfortable area of price, that's where you see most reversals. And even here, if you have, for example, I don't know, this type of profile, and you see there's a low volume node starting here. This is also the single print from the TPO and then the area of volume. I want to see what happens over here because there's two options. Either we break back inside the area of value and we'll stay in a comfort zone for a little while, or I want to see a clear immediate rejection like a V-shaped reversal. I don't want to see price tapping there, staying a little bit there because then it means that's fair value. I don't like this. This is a gap in fair value. So I want to see, for example, this. Almost touching the low volume node. And for everyone who's starting with order flow, also I would strongly advise to start with something simple like an opening range breakout setups like the one we take a look at here. And you plot the high, you plot the low of the first 15 to 30 minutes of the initial range of the first candle of the stock market. And then you either wait for a break below with a strong sell candle or above with a strong buy candle. And by strong, I mean either a bubble from the deep trades up or down, and volume, for example, increasing on the way down or on the way up. You want to see an increasing volume, you want to see a strong candle closing below, and you want to see also a big bubble in the body of the candles. That's your confirmation. This setup alone was very, very profitable the last month and the last 20 years as well. Let's see what happened here. So from the low volume node, we had a response from buyers that pushed all the way up. But as you can see, liquidity is attractive. Look at all of the liquidity there's below here. It's much more close and much more attractive from price. So we had a response exactly from the area where we absorbed sellers before. We temporarily absorbed sellers, and then sellers actually took the entire control of the auction. Low volume node, boom, response again. Buyers being absorbed, so a bubble here, this green bubble here, and response from seller. Yes, gold and Bitcoin are available, guys, but only the CME ones. So for example, let me open a new COMEX, I think it's GC. And I'm also gonna open it from this side. GC. We're gonna have it here, and I can go on templates, full version, Andrea Cimi. I'm gonna take the NASDAQ one because it's pretty similar. I'm gonna load my colors. And we can see that the same exact thing happened on gold. Look at this. Liquidity 1, liquidity 2, boom. And now we have a big buyer here reloading, pushing price up. But we still have these huge liquidity levels below here. Huge, oh my God. Right, looks like we have a lot more meat over here. Look at what price is doing. Price is irrevocably attracted by these areas. It's crazy. And here instead we have, sorry, 1 second. Did we break out the IVB? Yes, we broke out. We're a bit late now. But that was the breakout, right? When I sell during the breakout or in the test of the breakout or at the end of the breakout, it doesn't make much difference on a statistical perspective. And cover yourself above here. Of course, this is not financial advice. This is just educational purposes only. Targeting the other side. This is more of a swing intraday trading approach. It's not scalping today. We've seen some scalpers yesterday already. But this is, again, the same chart. Let me get a lower filter for this. And let me also get fixed with the order flow analyzer. I want to have a little different, I want 5 points of .5 points, yes. Oh, a mistake. Yeah. So what I'm doing now is I'm managing the grouping factor. So I want to see 5 ticks at a time on gold because, as you can see, there's 10 ticks per point and they're too big, like they're too wide. So I want to see, a more grouped version of the same chart, basically. But yeah, as you can see, it's the exact same chart, also working on gold. And what you can do on Deepdom, if you want to have 2 different heat maps, is you can go up here and do detached window. And now you're going to have 2 different ones. This is also something really cool that we have. We're not managing it like Deep Chart, where we have like the main bar, and then you manage all the windows from here, from this little bar over here that you see. But it works in a very similar fashion. Like you can have multiple of them. You know, I can put this one here, or for example, I don't know, I might want to have gold up here. I want to have, for example, this one below here, and here I want to have this one. Yeah, just like that. And I can very easily build my charts like this. And once I'm done with that, I can save the workspace, for example. I can save, call it, for example, test. And next time I'm going to open my chart, it's going to show it exactly like this. You see how a lot of these moves up are driven by these little orders, these little reloads that then get canceled and poured into the market. This is aggressive participants. Like, you should imagine these as people wanting to join the party now, but they cannot. So instead, they open market. They cancel the bid and they open market instead. Italian traders are draining the brokers. You could say that. Like in this situation, this close below was not really good because, as I said before, we want a full body candle, and in this case we had a very big wick. We had an increase in volume, yes, but it was all from a rejection perspective. So you could test it. We can keep it here just to test it, but this is not an A+ setup. It's actually way more probable that we'll see some responsiveness as we're in the low volume nodes of yesterday, as I said before. But let's see. And also, as a rule of thumb, now this is a mechanical strategy, okay? But as a rule of thumb, you don't want to engage a lot in the middle of ranges. You want to typically engage at the top or at the bottom. How does Deepdom looks like with YM? We can change to YM, no problem. Yes. Let it load. Let it cook. There you have it. This is YM. We have a huge buyers on YM below here. A lot of market makers. You see this cloud that you see around price. It's all the market maker cloud. This is not liquidity that you should be caring about too much. But we have a great level of liquidity below here. And now we see some more liquidity being loaded on the ask side as well for the ES. You show the NQ heat map. Yeah, sure. We got all of them, guys. Don't worry. Feel free to ask today. Can we look at Deepdom for NASDAQ? Sure. So what's happening right now here on that? Ooh, they've reloaded a lot of longs here. Exactly. Look at what I told you before, right? When the rise up is supported by fresh liquidity areas, it's very likely that they will keep going up. And when they delete these areas, they will join market instead, likely. What about crypto? So the crypto market with, the aggregated exchanges isn't available yet. But you have, for example, BTC, right? CME, Bitcoin, and you can see that one instead. But apparently we don't have a lot of historical, and it's very dirty, you see? It's not great, to be honest. Now back to our ES. Look at what happened again. Big buyer loaded and then move up. It's all short-term stuff, but it happens very, very consistently. But now we can see the auction is shifting, right? And that's the reason why we want to wait for the A+ setups. Now we have aggressive sellers starting to take control again. Exactly where they took control before. Let's see if this candle is going to close outside the opening range. How about Euro USD heat map? Well, let's get it. Also here, probably not a lot of liquidity, but for sure more. There you have it. This is your euro dollar liquidity heat map on the futures. The update on the big trades is going to be the subject of a subsequent video that we're going to have. See, they've absorbed some sellers. Let's see what they're going to do. But this is another rejection, another strong initiative from buyers on the bottom. This is typical of reversals. Would it be possible to show TN on the heat map? Sure. I'm curious actually. I've never opened the bond of the DOM of the bonds. But look how freaking liquid this thing is. It's absolutely crazy. Like, look at this. It's too liquid and too low volatile to trade bonds, guys. I mean, in my opinion. Look at how clean this is instead. Much cleaner. What periods are you using for the IB? With Fabio, we use the 30 minutes. I use both. For the ES, I use both the 15 minutes and the 30 minutes. The 15 minutes on ES is decent. You know, it's not as, tricky as the NASDAQ. Because the NASDAQ on the 15 minute gives a lot of fake breakouts. Not as much as ES, to be honest. Can we go back up to 2 years in backtesting replay mode? What do you mean? On deep chart, I think you can go pretty back. But on Deepdom, for now, I think we have the last contract only. We're probably going to make available... really low, old backtest, maybe at a price, because it's going to cost us a lot of server maintenance to keep all of that data. Like one day MBO, I think is like almost not a terabyte, but like a lot of data, like a lot. Yeah, buyers are clearly in control at the low volume node. So I now expect some bullishness going up until these highs over here. And the IVB setups to probably be a stop loss on the 15 minute if we open it with a, let's say, not really qualified idea. Because when you see high volume on a low of this magnitude, this is what we define as a strong low. So we see big volume on the way down, big volume on the way up. And if you see in the smaller candles, you're going to see a lot of volume, a lot of volume, a lot of volume. It means that it's a rejection pattern. And so now what I expect is possibly more bullishness. But the speed of the book is kind of higher now. You can see now also from here, it's a high volatility environment now. Is it possible to add crypto payments? Not yet. So basically ES is looking to eat the near liquidity before moving to the other side to reload and follow the trend. That's kind of the idea, yeah. It's kind of the idea. How can you trade without volume? You're showing on deep charts because Deepdom has not volume. Well, yes, it has. You just go here, daily profile, activate it, boom. There you have it. Or you can have the resettable profile or the visible profile of the visible range. It's absolutely super, super easy. Oh, we got more sellers joining the party. Look at this bubble over here. We got some aggression now. And a reload. Look at this. Big reload, big sell market. As soon as this was deleted, let's see how much was that liquidity, by the way. We can use the tooltip over here. You can see. We had 300 contracts. And then one by one, they got placed. So deleted from the book and placed market. This is what I mean. This is the reload. But there's no chance. Buyers are still in control. Look at this. Yeah. So we don't have a lot of setups today. And you know, this is the thing about trading. You don't always have setups. And you don't need to kind of force them. So how I like to manage as a intraday swing trader. So I'm not a scalper like Fabio. I'm not a scalper like you know, Rodolfo and Marco and all the people you saw yesterday. But I typically trade intraday. So what I want to do as an intraday swing type of trader, I want to wait for the right area. So I want to wait for high prices and low prices to have high probability reversal ideas. Because from here, I can tell that it's likely, like discretionarily speaking, that we're going to reach at least until here, if not even above here. Because I see all these sellers being absorbed. I see this effort being absorbed. This effort being absorbed. This effort being absorbed. And buyers taking control again. So I have a clear, you know, view. And this is the thing with volume analysis. You want to take a look at both things. You want to always take a look at the bubbles or the volume as effort. But you also want to take a look at candles and the price because that's the result. And you always have to look at these together. Like we're not bashing on price action, right? Because price action is the consequence. And it's as important, I wouldn't say as important, but at the same level with the cause. Like you need, it's two things that are undividable, both the order flow and price action. Because how order flow creates price movement is the actual thing. You can see how we've absorbed something above here. And sellers try to take control again. Let's see. Any plans for the Indian market? Well, you can buy deep chart. If we have the German data feed, I'm not sure, to be honest. Not sure DX feed has it. You need the Eurex one. Let me see. Eurex, FDAX. Well, yes, you have it. Even though now it's not as, like this is not the highest liquidity session for DAX. Again, no chance. Buyers completely in control and they're approaching the next liquidity level. Let's see if we're going to reach up above until here in this liquidity level. But yeah, exactly what I meant. Sellers doing a huge effort, no result. It means that buyers are controlling. Should the DOM not show the absorption? Yeah. What do you mean? Yes, you can see clusters of absorption. It's super easy. I think there's also an indicator with that. Let me add it on top of the chart. See how that looks. Yeah, it's a bit set on the wrong stuff probably, because it's, yeah, minimum absorption 20 contracts. This is, I think, set up for the Nasdaq. Let's see with 100 how that looks. Yeah, that's cool. You have these walls basically of absorptions. We're at the mean point, so I'm going to wait for an entry, maybe a short from the PDVAH. I don't know what's PDVAH. But sure. Can you show us the deep V tracker? It's quite hard to understand. Actually, that's pretty easy to understand. It's just it's giving you some buy or sell zones. That's it. I'm gonna maybe ask Rodolfo to make a full video about that for you guys, because he's the creator of that indicator. See, one liquidity level taken. Let's see if we take the next one. Previous day value area high. Got it. Previous day value area high is somewhere above here. Yeah. We got some sellers here. A lot of effort, no result. Maybe that was an iceberg. I don't know. Not necessarily. Let's see if we're going to reach the 7,420s. But as you can see now, there's a bit of choppiness, right? So what I'm going to do, for example, is I'm going to take my IVB and plot it on the 30 minutes, which is the main time frame where you want to use the IVB. And still around the same area where sellers presented themselves, they are still absorbing buyers. Do you see? These big volume areas of buyers buying effort that has no follow through. Let's see. And if, so following the IVB model, if this thing breaks above, so somewhere here, that's still a valid setup. I don't care that we're high. There's no such thing as that, because it's a momentum trade. It's a breakout trade. So if there's a close of a candle above here, that's still a valid long setup. Same thing if they break below here. But now we're in the very middle of the range, right? So for now, the best thing is to wait. And maybe take a look at some other cool stuff that you can do with our heat map software. One of which is definitely everything that relates to contrast, right? This is probably one of the most important things you guys should do. Playing around with which liquidity areas you want to see. I typically like to keep it pretty high. And then the top contrast, you can keep it also kind of high. The bubble size, you can do it and adjust it to your liking. And you can group them however you like. So now we can clearly see all of the important liquidity areas, right? And another thing you can do on the bubbles side of things is you can go on plot settings and you can put a 2D version of them. A lot of people like using this. I personally like this very much. And I can manage the opacity, for example. I want to put a lower opacity and have it a little bit like this, maybe even less. This is how I would love them. And we can kind of play around with the aggregation. There's two modes for the aggregation: extensions or extension and retracement. So it's basically kind of playing around with how you calculate the bubbles. You can have delta bubbles or ask bid split bubbles, or you can have a little bit of both, you know? But I typically like to keep delta for reference. And I can also play around with properties. And for example, on the heat map, I can select either this, the deep dominant, the infrared, which is the classic old one, right? Which is also really cool, because this one basically shows you a little bit of heat idea, right? And another thing you can have here is the deep liquidity scan, which is basically a liquidity tracker. I'm going to take off the volume for a second. And this is basically showing us who's dominating what, right? And you can see that here we have a lot of these levels. Well, exactly because of that, we can see sell liquidity being up, this purple line, okay? And this is the liquidity tracker. And whenever there's, you know, some, you know, considerable variation of liquidity in the book, you're going to see it from here, even without having to zoom all the way in, okay? And some other cool indicators we have, of course, is everything that relates to icebergs. I'm not sure I can show you now. I have to wait for the MBOs to be fully ready. But I'm going to have a live session with you guys this week specifically around this thing, so stay tuned on the channel. And of course, you can buy and sell in-app for the guy who asked. You have the trading panel over here. So let's say we want to go on with our idea and take these liquidity areas we can buy. I'm not sure why it's not working. Maybe there's a... Maybe I've set... Oh, right. One second, because I think I had the risk manager open. Right. So let me do something like this. Let me go on options and do it all the way. So you can go on settings. You can have a SIM account, for example. I'm going to add a SIM account for, let's say, 100K. I can name it test. Save. And I can select that account. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So as you can see, I bought directly here, and I can trade it directly from the heat map. Also in the back test, by the way. For example, I might put my stop loss below here. And the take profit, for example, above here. That's the first way of doing it. Other thing you can do, let's close this for a second, is you can activate the OCO strategy and, for example, place your stop loss in money. Okay, for example, I want to risk $500 on this next trade. I'm going to use risk as quantity instead. And as soon as I buy, it's not going to happen anything until I place my stop. And when I place my stop, then it creates the trade based on the right quantity of lots of contracts that I need to open. And for example, I might want to place the target here at the highs of the day, and I can easily trade from here. I'm not sure it's going to show it this way as well, because I think it's two different SIM accounts. Trading panel, not sure. No, it's not going to show it here. Right. But if you're using, you know, a normal account, a real account, it does. If you're connected to both. And we can also activate the VWAP if we want. So we can have the daily VWAP. And we can see that we're very close to the VWAP actually. And we were on the lower ends. Let me just put again my template to kind of reset back. There you go. Can I have Rodolfo footprint chart template? I think it's available already for all Deep Charts users. Fabio has its interactive broker setup. Is that the only third-party server integrated with Deepdom? What do you mean, third-party server? We have, you know, any broker that goes through DXFeed, CQG, or Rhythmic is completely integratable, and we have some more, I think. I think if you go here on the settings, you can see that the feed sources you can take are all these ones. What time the bootcamp will start and which days of the week? So the bootcamp will start on the 18th of May. So starting the next Monday. And the calendar will be communicated very soon. So do we get Fabio's red and gray template? Yeah, of course, bro. You click on right click, template, load, and on the shared folder, where you can see both this one and this one, click no, and there you have it. How cool is this one? So, does Deepdom has tick strike sounds? What do you mean tick strike sounds? The order failed, order submitted. Yeah, we have all those sounds. And if you want to, for example, select a level, for example, like this, you draw a line. I think we can maybe set up an alert on this one. I'm not sure though. Properties. No, I don't think we can yet. But maybe we could add it. It's super easy actually. You mean some alert, right? Yeah, probably we can. What are the pros and the cons of this software versus other gamma software? This is not a gamma liquidity software. This is real futures liquidity. It has nothing to do with options yet. Can we trade with micros and look at the minis? Yes. So for example, here I can select MES and I can trade the mini. For example, yeah, like this. And now I'm trading the mini while looking at the ES. Are we still at high volatility with the Deepdom? Mid volatility, we're mid. Wish I found you as soon as I knew about trading. Yeah, me too. You can only use the Iceberg indicator with MBO data? Yes, actually yes. So I'm gonna run a test for you guys. I don't think it's gonna immediately works for the following data, but it should work for the past data. Let me see for a second, because I'm using a beta right now, and the DXFeed is just now running everything that relates to MBO. So you're not gonna have the current one, but the history, yes. We have the history at least. And we can have, for example, the cumulative stop iceberg or the deep icebergs, which is also really cool. And for example, I might want to have, let's go to the indicators and kind of play around with the plot settings. Let's have it yellow and blue, like this. And there you have all the icebergs. Ooh, there was a huge iceberg over here, by the way. Huge iceberg. Look at how this plotted the high of the entire day. Right over here. And then support from sell icebergs again. Support from sell icebergs again. And at the bottom, look at this. This is crazy. More buy icebergs, a huge buy iceberg over here, and price immediately follows. I mean, this is the closest thing to a cheat code in order flow analysis that I can name. And this is the ES. Let's see the NASDAQ, for example, instead. New NASDAQ. And settings, MBO. And let's load our beautiful colors. And let's have, again, the deep iceberg. It doesn't look like there's a lot of them. Maybe I have to kind of play around with it a little bit. Right, because we're on the NASDAQ, so we have to lower the filter for sure. And let's also activate the plot settings a little bit differently. Let's have this, as we did before. This. Yeah, now we have a little bit more. But still very predictable and predictive. On a lot of lows and a lot of highs, that's where you typically see price responding well to these icebergs. Alerts for icebergs, I think that's probably more doable. Alert settings, yeah, alert iceberg, you can enable it when a minimum threshold, for example, of 15, and you can apply. And this is going to basically give you an alert at every iceberg. I'm also going to play around with, if you go on properties, you have the market regime here, market structure, and you can have it on a dedicated chart area. And I'm going to also have not just the regime, but also the near liquidity filter with delta on both. Or maybe I cannot do this yet because oh yes, I can. Okay, perfect. And I can do this also for the far liquidity. This is still basically a liquidity tracker. And it's going to basically show me a little bit of the current level of liquidity, but I'm not sure it's working now with MBO data. By the way, let's keep an eye on this because exactly what we were saying would happen actually happened. We had an absorption of these sellers over here. These big traders filtered out, right? And then buyers taking control and buyers taking control again. And now we're approaching the break of this high. I took the reversals on the IVB 30 minutes ago. Nice job. Let me have the source in MBP for a second. Of course, now you're not going to see the icebergs, but it's just to see a little bit of the current level of heat maps. Let's do it also here. Source settings MBP. And with the MBP, you're not going to see the icebergs anymore. Okay, that's the sad part. But as you can see, we're approaching exactly those levels, including the upper level over here at 73.50 or 74 square. Yeah, 75 square. $3,300 for lifetime is amazing. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. I'm not sure how long we're going to keep these prices, guys, by the way, because it's just ridiculous. Like, I mean, if you go here, right, and on deepcharts.com or the launch kit page, whereas, you know, the link I've just sent in the chat, I'm going to pin it also for you guys. You can either just buy Deepdom, or if you already have deep charts, you can basically get both at like ridiculously low price. Plus, if you're an early bird customer, so you basically were with us at the launch, you get also 2 months for free. So strongly advise to go for this also if you're a current deep chart user, because if you have, for example, a couple months left in your subscription, these 6 months or 1 year will be added to your subscription. Plus you have Deepdom added to your deep chart for life at $300, which is crazy. Still 11 days, guys. I strongly advise you to take advantage of this offer because it's not going to last any longer. It's already low enough. And we have all of this. All the boot camp with our elite traders. So click the link you find on the chat right now if you want to join. Otherwise, I will see you because a lot of you guys are already in the deep charts community where we host these live sessions. There's basically one live session every day, almost. One with Fabio, one with me, one with the deep team. And we're going to probably add more in the future. So stay tuned for that and for all the next updates. And let's see if we have any questions. Will you consider deep charts lifetime? Yeah, we're working on having an offer like that as well. Can I have multiple Deepdom charts open? Yeah, as you can see here, I have 2, and I can also detach and have 2 different ones. So I can have, for example, on this side, the NASDAQ, and on this side, I'll keep the ES. Boom. There you go. Super easy. Mac version will likely come out next month. Want to see Iceberg on real-time data or just historical? Yeah, also real-time. But you're going to give us a couple of days until DXFeed is finally done with the MBO stuff for the integration. Will we get MBO data? Yes, with DXFeed, you get MBO data. Is it for Windows only? Yes. Deep charts monthly, probably next few months we're going to have the monthly version. What is the difference between Deepdom and heatmap chart? Please tell me. Deepdom is a heatmap chart. Can you reformulate the question? But how we're different from other heat maps is that it's way cheaper than normal heat maps, first of all, and some other platform that may have the charting version of the footprint chart and all that stuff. Plus this is that they sacrifice performance and MBO. We have MBO instead with all the Iceberg stuff. Can we trade gold and FX pairs here? Yeah, we've just shown it at the beginning of the live session. If we have this version for Windows and the Mac version comes out, can we have a switch? Yeah, you're gonna be able to have both. It's not gonna be something you have to buy on the side. What will the price be when the offer is over? Well, it's gonna be, as of now for deep chart, you're basically at 40% off here. So here you're at 40% off on deep chart and 20% off on Deepdom. It's gonna come out like at $39 or $49 a month or something like that. Will we get other templates as well? Maybe the one from Carmine? Yes. We're gonna provide you with all the single templates that you're gonna need. On Nifty 50 and Sensex, we don't have those data feeds yet. Sumi. Are you able to view the data from the Dow Jones? Yes, I've shown it already at the beginning of the live session. Please go and check it out. For prop firms, do you know if they have level 2 for Rhythmic, for example? I'm not sure they have it. I'm not sure you have to specifically request them for it, and it may have a cost. What is the cost for data each month? I think $29 as an initial offer, and then $39 or something. Depends on how many markets you want to trade, really. Do I have to get separate subscriptions if I already have DX feed for deep charts? No, that's the cool part. I'm using the same data feed now as we speak. Okay, exactly the same data feed. So you see, I have DX feed here and DX feed here. It's exactly the same subscription because we use the same bridge. Okay, it's called Volumetrica bridge. So we can use the same feed for both platforms. You don't need to buy an extra data feed. So if I already have deep charts and I want to buy Deepdom, I can go straight with the third option at $300, or I go with the second one. I would advise the second one because you can renew deep chart as well. How many months of deep charts do you have left? Because if you have still 1 year, maybe I would go for this. If you have 3-6 months, get this 1 year because we have 40% off on Deep Chart on this one. Literally 40% off. This is the best value you can get. Is my trading connected for both platforms? Yes. Is there a web version of Deepdom? No. When for Mac? Probably next few months. You guys are so amazing and Antonio is a genius. I completely agree. How to use India Deep Charts? There's no such thing. Can we buy data through Deep Charts? Yes. As soon as you're inside of your... when you buy anything from us, you get this thing over here, my.deepcharts.com, and here on subscriptions, you can buy your own data feed, and it comes with this full order flow course that basically you can have, okay? All you need to know about order flow, there's a complete course that comes together with the softwares every single time. And here in the subscription tab that you see up here, you can buy your own data feed from us. Friday's Deepdom launches in the morning or afternoon? Probably afternoon. We don't have a time yet, but by the end of the day. Could you or Fabio do a video, or we need to COT report? Sure. Which prop firms are preferred for Deep Charts? Anything that have DX feed or Rhythmic. I do not have Windows and I want it. When will it be on Mac? Next few months, guys. Is Fabio trading live during the bootcamp? We're not doing live trading in case we can do live analysis, but we're going to see some live action for sure. What is Deep Map? There's no such thing as Deep Map. It used to be the name of Deepdom, but it's called Deepdom now. Why? Is it? We don't have any Deep Map. What does MBO mean? We're going to make us a dedicated video, and I think I've already done one, by the way, on my YouTube channel. Let me double check for you guys. But please go and watch that. If you search for MBO data, you click here, full MBO order flow guide. You basically look at this video and you're gonna learn everything you need to know about it. I've sent it here on the chat as well. Is it usable on virtual machine? I have MacBook Pro M1 with M1 Pro chip, 60 gigs of RAM. Yeah, definitely. I have it, by the way. That's how I use it now. I have a Mac, 48 gigs, M5 Pro Max, and I'm using Deep Chart and Deepdom on a UTM Windows-like machine. Of course, it's not optimal, right? Because it's not the same thing, but yes, technically you can. So that's it for today, guys. I hope to have answered some of your doubts, some of your questions. I hope to see you guys inside. Purchase Deep Charts now before the price goes any lower, and the Deepdom liquidity bootcamp closes forever. So take your chances now. It's been a pleasure to host this live session for you guys. Thank you very much. Trade safe, trade deep, and I'll see you guys in the next one.